Welcome back, everybody. We're going to start with Will this evening.
Yeah. This is San Luis by Gregory Alan Isakov, uh, which very cool guy. If you like this style of music, I would recommend you go check him out. Weightlessness, no gravity, or somewhere in between. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis. Highway boys all sleeping in their dirty mouths and broken strings. Their eyes, they shine just like the sea for you, Queen of San Luis. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis. Cutting through the avenue, I'd always find my way to you. Inside the hook, the hammer lies. Fumbling round in the smoke, spending time chasing ghosts. Hold me down, child. Oh, hold me down, child. California called you queen, with your golden hair and magazine, or somewhere in between, fast asleep, flying dream. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis. I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis. Thank you.
Nice. Tell me again who the person
It
is.
was Gregory Alan Isakov.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he's from South Africa, I think. But I don't know. He's got a very interesting dialect for what he does, but he's got just some beautiful songs.
Cool. Thank you. I want to check that out. Yeah, it's beautiful. Your rendition of it was lovely, so nice. Thank you. Um,
Will, when you say an interesting dialect, do you mean the way he speaks, the way he pronounces things, or what?
Yeah, it's just the way he sings because it's like, it's South African, but it's like kind of British. It's one of those like I don't know how to put the right words on it, but there's just like I think a very unique tone to it. He's got a very like nice warm tone and just some of the words just blend really well, I think. If that was clear as mud, I don't know.
I'll check it out. All right. Should we move over to some poetry or stories or some of the spoken rather than sung for a moment. Any volunteers?
I'll let someone else go because I'm having a little trouble with my. I'm gonna have to get to a Google Doc, but my mouse is almost dead. I can't do any navigating for a few minutes.
Oh
So
no.
I'm like, I'll unplug it real quick, unmute, and then I'll mute back up and let it charge. So somebody else.
Okay. Sylvia, it looked like you were saying something, but you were muted.
I was going to say, I always don't care. So, you know, I don't care if I go first or last or in between. I don't care. So,
Okay, then go now.
okay, I will.
Now it is you.
Yeah. So I have this series of stories that uh, I've been writing for Shout Out. That's a like they're kind of historical, having to do with different times in queer history, if that makes sense. And but it's what was going on for me personally at the same time. So that's what I'm reading. What I'm telling you all these days because that's what I'm writing. So this one is called When It Came Home to Me. Looking back on it, I think I should have known. How could I have missed the signs? But then it was the 80s and we were all still innocent. Also, maybe I didn't want to know. I was a technical writer, and this was my first day at Clarity, the HR software company. My new boss, Christy Richards, trotted ahead of me past rows and rows of mauve and gray Herman Miller cubes toward the last group in the back. Out the windows ahead of us, the sky was white with fog. Inside, the air smelled faintly of microwave popcorn. Hi, people, she called out. She might as well have been saying, here, doggies. Heads popped up over the partitions. Nobody made eye contact with her or with me. Here's our new writer. Introduce yourselves, would you? I'm late for a meeting. She looked at her watch, squeezed my arm, and hustled away. So, I thought, no love lost in this department. Oh well, I can stand it for now. A small man with thinning chestnut hair stepped out of his cube and nodded at me. His trousers were perfectly creased, and he was wearing a burgundy silk tie and a tidy mustache. I'm Don Martinez. How do you do? The voice was warm and resonant, as if it came from a larger person. A tall, slim woman came out of the next cube and extended a hand. Pleased to meet you, Kate Backer. She had prominent cheekbones and short black hair. We hear you walk on water, she added. Don drew his chin back and glared at her. Miss Backer, behave yourself. He turned back to me. We'd like for you to come to lunch with us if you're available. It's something of a tradition with us. I was charmed by Don. You could see that he was one of those gay men who are always the crabby head of copy editing or wardrobe master in a theater. The other two writers came around the Herman Miller and introduced themselves. A couple of nerdy young white men, Mike something, Steve something else. At noon, the six of us, the writers and Christie's secretary, a skinny Filipina who looked all of 16, walked around the corner to Lou's Noodle Shop on Mission. It was noisy, voices raised above the clatter of dishes and the smell of noodles and soy sauce. The pink Formica tables were small and the restaurant was crowded. Don and Kate sat with me, the other three a couple of tables away. So, said Kate, Christy tells us you're God's gift to tech writing. Miss Backer, stop it. Don nodded at me. Forgive her. It's that you're getting the online doc project, and they already had two senior writers, he said, gesturing to himself and Kate. So we wondered. The waiter brought plates of chow fun, slick and fragrant with oyster sauce. And I'm sure it's well deserved. Kate gave me a twisted grin. She was one of those old-fashioned butch women, the kind you used to see in the bars. She and Don exchanged a glance. I should explain that we're both gay, and Christy, I laughed. Kate sat back in her chair and frowned. Now, why is that funny? It's not that hard to tell, I said. Don smiled, but Kate's frown deepened. What does that mean? I'm sorry, she said, but I don't believe in gaydar. Besides, you're not even gay. I hear you're married to a programmer. Well, yes and no. It was always so hard for me to explain my ambiguous queer past. I have had girlfriends. I wasn't going to tell them about Daisy Leong, how she ripped my heart to shreds, leaving me bleeding love onto the sidewalk outside the Greyhound bus station in Denver, or about Karen, who stalked me for months. Never again. Kate raised her thick black eyebrows and gave a bark of laughter. I'll bet anything Christy didn't know that little detail when she gave you the project. Christy called each of us into her office a few times a week for a one-on-one. I'm glad you're on board, sweetie, she said to me. The office was tiny and crowded with filing cabinets. I shoved my chair back as far as I could. We've been needing someone with your attitude and experience to head up this project. She leaned forward and lowered her voice. Just between you and me, none of our in-house candidates had quite the professional attitude we need for such a high-profile situation. I'm sure you know what I mean. I did. I did know just what she meant. Under the makeup, her face was young but ravaged. Her brassy hair was teased big on top, and her puss-print scarf was pinned at the shoulder with a gold C. She leaned toward me again and squeezed my knee. I smelled anger and hairspray, and I didn't want that hand on me. You'll shine here, she said. I can tell already. 6 months after I started working at Clarity, the three of us would go for lunch sometimes. And most Thursdays after work, we went out to one of the upscale bars near the office before heading home to our respective partners. Dawn and Kate had been best friends and co-workers for 15 years, moving together from one company's tech department to another. They addressed each other as Miss Backer and Mr. Martinez, which killed me every time. At a table in a wood-paneled bar in the dim golden light, I watched the two of them. You're getting a dog, Mr. Martinez? Kate leaned toward him, grinning. Your I hate dogs hubby is finally going to let you have a dog? Some Wynton Marsalis contemplative jazz poured like a brass river out of the sound system. I loved the ease in their bodies as they turned toward each other, the tiny affectionate touches, the way their eyes shared silent laughter, hers sharp and ice blue, his like dark agates in water, reflecting the amber light from behind the bar. Well, I said, Don will be the one walking the dog every day, not Perry, so why is it a problem? The two of them exchanged another complicated, brief glance that I didn't understand. Madonna was on the sound system now, a faint smell of stale beer and ammonia wafted up from the floor. I imagined Don and Kate aging. In 25 years, they'd have craggier faces and white hair, still both beautiful in their eccentric ways, still working side by side, bosses by then in some unimaginable future tech world. What would they do when they retired? And would I still be there, loving them? A week later, around 3, I was at my desk, engrossed in working out my new procedure charts, when I heard something beeping nearby like a travel alarm clock. It wasn't the first time I'd heard it, but it had been just for a moment, and this time it didn't stop. I stood up and looked around. The sound was coming from Don's cube, but Don and Kate were at a walkthrough over in programming. Christy came out of her office, her fuchsia lips twisting. She shook her head. You'd think he could be considerate of the rest of us. She leaned toward me over the top of the cube and lowered her voice. He's thick, you know. Her fingers made the air quotes. I stared at her. I didn't know. A pillbox beeper. Oh no. But that's no excuse, she said, for shoving it in our faces. Oh no, I stopped hearing her. How had I not seen it before? I suppose I didn't want to. Christie's daily pushing him to take on extra work, making a disgusted face when he said no. Her constant little remarks to him about him. Those odd bruises on his arm, the one time he had absent-mindedly pulled back his sleeve. It had been in the news recently, the gay cancer. Its victims shown wasting in hospital beds. But it was distant, happening to a few people somewhere else. I didn't even know anyone who knew anyone who had it. I knew now, though, with certainty. Christy was bullying Dawn for having AIDS because she could. I found him in the little kitchen near the elevator lobby, where he was standing at the stainless steel sink making a cup of tea. The kitchen had that dirty microwave smell. His spine was straight, heels together. The posture was unbearably moving. His dark head dipped to watch the liquid drip from the tea bag into his cup. Don, I said, when did you get your diagnosis? He turned and faced me. About a year ago, he shrugged apologetically. I didn't want it to be all we talked about. Oh, I said, that wasn't the answer I wanted. No, I mean, I'd rather know, but Don, I couldn't think what to say. There was an awkward silence. I'm sorry, I said stupidly. In the 1980s, there was no hope of a cure, no chance. Don would be dead within the year. Yes, well, he smiled. I have my two sisters who love me. What more do I need? His eyes like cinnamon agates in water.
It was so good. Thank you for sharing that with us. Oh,
Thank you. Yeah, that was really beautiful, and heartbreaking.
That was AIDS. That was the 1980s.
Unimaginable. I mean, you know, I don't know. It was not in my little kid world at all. I didn't
No,
know, not at all. I don't even know.
right.
I'm not even sure my parents, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to ask them what their thoughts or what their experiences were like with anybody they knew or during that time. Um, all my knowledge of it is through film and TV, you know? It's just so um and stories from people who lived through it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have a lot of them,
yeah, I do. You'll
painfully.
hear some of them.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you are telling the stories, and it's a painfully important part of our history.
Yeah,
Thank you. Um, I was thinking we would go back to some music, but I'm not sure if um Scianti is back yet.
I'm back.
You're back.
Just eating something, so I didn't want to turn on.
Oh, fair enough. Would you like to share?
Sure.
Did I did I remember to pronounce it properly?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Thank you. I try hard. Okay, I'm going to pin your post.
This is one I wrote. It's called Strangers. We used to be friends as kids, tearing down streets at night speed, of paradise as we dreamed, and in these dreams we believed. We used to be fools as kids, blaming one another for the misdeeds. But I think our fights were gimmicks, spilled the other secrets and got our kids. Then we grew up all so abrupt, it felt so rushed. Our paths unrolled, you went from a boy I knew to a man I don't. Strangers now, waiting to be redeemed. Won't you tell me how you have been? Is this how it was meant to be? With strangers now, but still chasing our dreams. Tell me now what this feeling is. I go looking for your pictures. Wish I were the one next to you, not her. But don't tell me if you concur. Is something wrong with me when I sit to work with my cup of brew? All I can do is write songs about you. We can take up where we left off, building castles in the air, make them come true, go live in them, the dreams we never outgrew. Strangers now, waiting to be redeemed. Won't you tell me how you have been? Is this how it was meant to be? With strangers now, but still chasing our dreams. I met you the other day. You broke your back trying to carry the conversation. We talk later again, we say, but never did. Strangers now, waiting to be redeemed. Won't you tell me how you have been? Is this how it was meant to be? With strangers now, but still chasing our dreams. Strangers now, waiting to be redeemed. Strangers now, but we live in the dream. Thank you.
Nice. Is that a newly composed song?
Not really. I wrote this a couple of years ago,
Oh,
and I'm just like going back to my old stuff and reworking on them.
cool. Have you been doing more open mics and shows or like what?
Yeah, I go to open mics and I usually do shows like I go to open mics every night and I often perform at shows as well.
Awesome. That's great. I'm glad it's going well. It's almost a year now, yeah, since you
Yeah.
moved? Cool. Love it. Have you guys connected yet? Is it our two LA folks, Erica?
I keep seeing Erica's stuff on Facebook, but we haven't really met in person. I know you keep posting about your, storytelling mics and other things on Facebook. I see all of that, but I've never been to any one of those events.
Well, it would be great to meet you in person. If you ever want to come to my show, I'll comp your ticket.
Oh, sure, that'd be great. I'll get in touch with you.
Yay! I love it. Was that a song that you wrote from like personal experience? Like, was it a based on your own life, I guess?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And it's a little all over the place. I often take it to critiquing sessions, and people are like, "What exactly is this about?" So I guess I need to focus on one specific thing because I talk about a bunch of things. But yeah,
It seems like to me the overarching theme is this former person that you knew
uh-huh.
in like a earlier part of your life, and you've reconnected with them in some way,
Right,
and you don't like you're different than you were essentially.
right,
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean that's very oversimplification, but
Yeah, you got it exactly right.
I don't know what I don't know what the other critique would be. Like what else? I don't know. I don't. It seemed pretty
They were
straightforward.
like people are like, "Is this a love song?" No, it's not a
Oh,
love song.
well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's. I feel like that kind of stuff could be open to interpretation anyway. Like,
Exactly. You can't really fit this into a specific category, like in terms of feeling or whatever. But
Yeah,
there's a
but
bunch of things, and it is what it is.
it seemed totally clear to me what the song was about. I mean, you
Oh,
made
that's
it
great.
very clear. It does it. I don't know how anybody could not.
I know.
Anyway,
I agree.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Sometimes people just like to critique things because they like to critique things, and
I guess.
whatever. Anyway, I mean, sometimes there are good constructive criticism.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I
Hey,
just
thank you.
love that you keep putting yourself out there. So,
For sure. And I have a lot of new songs coming out, like I've been recording and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
are you on any streaming
Oh
platforms?
yeah, I'm on Spotify. What else? Pandora, Deezer, all of that.
Okay,
Just go through a distributor, and they put it up on all those platforms. And I'm also on SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, all of that.
nice, nice.
Is
Awesome.
it under just your name, or is it under like a band name, or how would I go find it?
Just type my name as you see it on here. Just my first name, Syante. That's my name on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud. Yeah, practically any streaming platform.
And did you say you have a distributor now?
I mean, like DistroKid.
Say that again.
DistroKid. So they're an online distributor, and you just go through them, and they put it up on all the platforms. Like you cannot directly upload your stuff on Spotify and the
Oh,
other.
you can't. Oh, you can't. Okay, okay. See, what do I know? I don't know. I don't do that. I don't record.
Right, I didn't know that either.
I see. I see.
Hmm.
Cool. Thanks for the education, as well as the music. Erica, would you like to go next?
I'm just going to share a couple poems. I'm not really a poet, but I'm kind of in between stories and I've just been writing some poems. So let's see. Let's start with this one. Glimmers of hope for our species. A new species of orchid has been discovered in Japan. Its pink and white blossoms, breakable like a glass figurine, sculpted toward the ground. On a cold winter's day, the icy beauty falls to the earth below. After thriving in a compassionate season, it suffers, it wonders. Will spring bloom an apology? Will forgiveness bloom from these frozen tears? Will a lack of vanity restore humility? A new species of bird has been discovered in central Indonesia called the Wakatobi sunbird. Vivid yellow, brilliant blue, iridescent plumage, a tiny bird with an ancestry traced back early as the 8th century CE. Their search for nectar represents the Buddhist quest for enlightenment. It flutters now by the flowers blooming on the tree, bringing seeds for the next generation, a symbol of hope that there will be a continuation, hope for all the species. Species. Okay. That was an addition. That's not in the poem. Okay, and then I'll read the next one. Water and sand, holding on tight to either, an exercise in futility. The substances escape through your fingers. The tighter your grasp, the quicker the loss. You, desperate for hydration and tactile proof, convinced a solution must exist somewhere in the billions of molecules and tiny grains. There must be the answer. Hearing water, reminded of the Tao, the hardback copy with vivid illustrations of nature you found at a secondhand store. Be like water. Water always finds a way, over the rock, under the rock, around the rock, through the rock. You make your way home, your yellow flip-flops slapping along the boardwalk, walking toward a sunset hidden by a thick gray humid haze, not wanting to be seen. Reality weighs on your chest, making it hard to breathe. The salty air whispers sweet nothings, but good feeling evaporates quickly. The moment of deception ends. A cry escapes your lips, quickly stifled by an unexpected gust of wind. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. So you don't write poetry very often or ever?
Not a lot. I would write it, but I never shared it. And one time I did a poetry reading and I was like, yeah, not so good at that. But
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just not, it's more enjoyable to do, but I don't have the same like conviction that I do about my other writing. But I do feel like I write good song lyrics. I used to be in a band, so poetry, although those song lyrics may be questionable too,
That might be
maybe.
tough. Oh, you mean the ones from the past? Is that what you...
Okay.
Oh, I feel like I sense just some insecurity about it, and but I don't know. I enjoyed it, and so I yeah, it's one of those, lacking confidence kinds of things, and maybe the more you did it, the more you would feel good about
Yeah, exposure therapy.
it. I feel like we've talked about that before too. I don't know.
Probably. I'm big on exposure. There's a lot of things gotta expose myself to.
Oh, I liked him. I liked it, especially the sand and the water finds a way. Like those are exercise in futility. Like I just that resonates very strongly with me. Both of those things. So I like that.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chris.
All right. I have two things. I'll read one now, which I've read before, but not, I think, for like a year. So I'll read this one again. And then I can read my other one later. They're not very long, but I'll do one. They're kind of different though, so I think maybe something in between would be good. This is called The Pearl. Was I there when it happened? Would I even remember it if I was? How many lives would I have lived since then? I read Shen Kuo's account in the dream book when he conversed with no one but his writing brush and his ink slab. I saw the words on the page, I recalled the images in my mind, and I felt the warmth of the light on my skin, a light so radiant no one could look upon it. My eyes were closed, my skin glowing in the heat of the flood. My hands were raised in awe and in surrender and in the completeness of being, with no concept of words like today or tomorrow or eternity or of never. and I held nothing but an image of you in my mind, holding tight to remember I was still alive. A man showed me a pearl once in a shop in Yangzhou, and again I thought of you, and of the light that shone upon me and washed across the land, making shadows of every tree, lighting up the sky and the woods in deepest hibiscus red, and I wondered that I had been in the presence of the gods, and yet I lived, protected by the thought of you, like a diamond in my mind. I walked through fields of wildflowers in the valley of Mount Huangshan in the eastern province of Anhui, with the smell of jasmine and the narcissus and the sacred lily hanging heavy in the air. And I made a necklace for you of crushed petals intertwined with the sweetgrass. And I washed the black soil off of my hands in a sea of chrysanthemum and boarded the train for Jiangsu and from there to Lake Jingkai. My eyes were shut tight, and still I felt the heat of the light like sunbeams as I clutched the pearl in the pocket of my jacket, feeling the coolness of the gem that burnt my hand like ice, like sorrow, taking away all the thought of eternity, of emptiness, of fullness, and of nothingness, with only a razor sharp thought of you cutting through my mind as a river cuts the valley. I saw the pearl rise and open in my mind, as large as a smoldering fist, illuminating the land in silvery white, the color of the lotus in early spring, its red-tinged edge fading off to the stars as you plunged into Jinkai Lake, like the sun crashing into the sea, a dying, drowning star. I read the brush, talking from the dream book, and had no one to tell my vision to, but the jasmine and the lotus and the pearl. How many times have I lived since then? Would I remember? Am I even still here? Thanks.
I like the imagery in that. Lots of flowers and gems and pearls and yeah.
I read about this UFO. I think I told you this last time. This UFO sighting, and somewhere between the year 1022 and 1063, in China, and this poet wrote a poem called "The Pearl," but I don't know if the poem exists anymore, because they said this um, this thing that looked like a white pearl was floating over this lake, and it opened up and it shone light that could be seen for 10 miles, and then it like dove into the lake at a super fast speed or something, and people used to go and try and see this thing. And I read this account and I was like, oh my god, that's so crazy. Like, people have been seeing UFOs for 1,000 years, and I thought, what would the poem sound like? Like, what would it be like? So I tried to recreate something that, if I'd seen it firsthand, and this year, not, anyway. So that's where that's the etiology of that one. So,
I remember hearing it before, and it feels different. I don't know, it was familiar and yet it felt different. It
I
sounded
might have changed it a little bit since then.
oh,
I think I worked on it once since I originally wrote it. So it's kind of one of those things that I don't think it's 100% finished, but it's pretty good. I think there's some tweaking, but anyway, yeah, that probably got tweaked since I read it last time.
I don't know if I would be so good at remembering like specific details, but like just orally, I don't know how well my brain does with things like that, but anyway, maybe. Anyway, I was glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Um, Will, did you have any more that you wanted to play for us?
Yeah, yeah, I can play another song. Um, when I was so I've got my bachelor's is in theater performance, and one of the books that our voice and movement teacher made us read was Giacometti's Portrait. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's basically about this guy who's doing a portrait of this man, and he has like like every day he's like, not there yet. And like, and it just keeps, and it's that idea of when do we let go of our art? When is it like finished? When there's so many variations and alterations and all these things, and that it's a very interesting thing of like, for it to be this art of like that performance aspect of like that it has to go out there to be seen, to be experienced, if you will. But it was a really good book. Yeah, the teacher was like, I read this every year, just keep it fresh. Yeah, I had mentioned last week that I play guitar for my kids every night when they go to bed. It's just part of our bedtime routine. And so I thought what I would do is I would play the final song that I play for them, because it's always the request, for Einstein's Idea by Johnny Flynn. So I wanted to play that for you all tonight. So, because it is 9:51 my time, Chris's time, right? So come, let's be gentle, be soft in my arms. Moonstone's been brewing and grains in the barn. Your mother is sleeping, I'll play my guitar. Twilight is keeping us close to the stars. Here's where the stories lie here with a peace. The kindly old night wrapped warm in her fleece. So dream up a hot day, dream and be full of Orion, his bow, and the plow and the bull. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling. Go trust in the strength that these are your friends. Pledge in them now, 'cause their luck knows no end. The bull looks a meanie, but he's on your side. He pulls the plow, which combs and divides. Put space in the heavens, Einstein's idea. He's your friend too, so nothing to fear. Orion'll help there, stars find the dark. Now all you need do is just watch for his mark. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. The sun and the moon, the galaxies far, were cast from his bow before they were stars. The gap in between them is nothing but us. Our eyes cut the distance like loving eyes must. From me unto you, sun, from dust unto dust. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I love that song. That's a wonderful bedtime song.
Yes, it was
That's
funny when Faith, my little sister who lives out in Portland, who invited me to this, got me started with these. So she and my older sister came. I don't know if that grammar is right, but they came to visit me back in like March, and I didn't have the kids at the time, so they were just sleeping in their beds, and so we just did the same bedtime routines where I was still like, it was like much later at night because we had been staying up, getting into things, but so it was like 1 at night, and I'm just like playing soft little songs for them while they're sleeping in the kids' room. It was very sweet.
That is very sweet.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. Say again the name of the
Uh,
song.
so that was Einstein's Idea by Johnny Flynn, and I maybe have played some Johnny Flynn before. He's one of those triple threats. Like he's been playing music for a long time. Like back when he had invited Mumford and Sons to be on like his tour from like way back, but he's also now like a very well regarded actor. So he was in Emma, that was on HBO, the Jane Austen sort of movie, I believe, and he was in Song One with Anne Hathaway, and he's just been racking stuff up. He's been fun. She's got a good agent right now, so
Well, that's a great song. I like that. Einstein's.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of this stuff. I really enjoy it. So I feel like there's one day where I'm gonna show up to an open mic night somewhere and I'll be like, so I can just do like all of Johnny Flynn. I can do a bunch, or like just like I've got just probably too many songs. Like I should probably expand the repertoire, or diversify the repertoire. But I could like just play a bunch of his songs for a while. He just writes some really good stuff.
There are bands that cover whole albums,
There
so
absolutely are.
you can do that. Apparently, that's a thing. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. I know Chris said he had something else. Sylvia, did you have another one you said you also? You or did I make that up in my brain?
I didn't say
Oh,
that. I mean,
okay.
I've got a ton of stories, but I feel like that last one was kind of long. So, you know,
Okay.
uh,
I just wanted to make sure that I couldn't remember if you had said that you wanted to do multiple, but maybe it was Chris that wanted to do multiple. Erica, did you want to do
it was
multiple? It was Chris. Okay. No. Okay. Um, Incianti, if you wanted to do something else too, because songs tend to be slightly shorter sometimes. I don't know. Maybe is that well, whatever. If people want, I'm here. I'm here to hear you and enjoy. So
Well, it's already 8, so if someone has to leave early, I want to be respectful of their time.
Well, everyone has shared already, but of course, yes. If anybody has to leave, don't feel compelled to stay. I will stay. Um, Chris, did you want to do another one? You said you did. Is that true?
I would like to do one more if we can squeak it in here. It's not very long.
Yeah, we started a little late, so if that's my excuse.
Okay. It's only like 30 minutes long, so we'll be good. I'm kidding. It's like 3 minutes, so 2 minutes probably. It's probably not even 2 minutes. Um, this one is Michelle's birthday is on Wednesday, and she's a summer solstice baby. So June 21st is her birthday. So I think the solstice is like the 21st or 22nd, depending on the year or whatever. So I wrote this one for her a while back, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it right now. You were born on the first day, and you will always carry that with you. That smile, that sunshine, it's one and the same. See, there's this warmth that emanates from you, that radiates from your face when you smile. That's summer. That's a summer day. That's the sun shining down through the branches of an elm tree. It's the sand on the beach that warms you after the water. It's a bike ride to the park. It's a game of baseball on a Sunday afternoon. It's a beer on the porch after mowing the lawn. It's the sparrows eating the gnats. It's the buzz of a mason bee. It's a truck parked on the side of the road. It's the road. It's the trees. It's the sound of bare feet on packed earth. It's a red brick in the tall green grass. It's a gravel pathway through a garden. It's a cold stone in a riverbed. It's the water. It's the mud. It's the shore. It's a hummingbird in the honeysuckle. It's a book on a blanket in the grass. It's the paddle of a canoe. It's the ripple. It's the current. It's the starfish in the tide pool. It's the pail. It's the shovel. It's salted popcorn in a red and white striped bag at the park. It's the drip of an ice cream cone. It's the crunch of the Cracker Jacks. It's the tire on the hot tar. It's the swing in the tree. It's the crack of the bat. It's the cheer. It's the slide in the dust. It's the home team's score. It's the quiet of the forest. It's the blackberries. It's the creak of the saddle. It's the nicker of the horse. It's the mane. It's the reins. It's the rain. It's the ice in the glass. It's summer.
I just love it. I just love that poem. It just makes me tear up every time I hear it. I love it. It just totally embodies summer to me. And I know it's for Michelle specifically, but it just like it just breathes summer and it's lovely. Thank you for reading it and writing it, of course, but Mm, yeah, I love summer. I think I loved it more as a kid, but because I really love spring now and fall.
I have to say, I love summer again. I know people can say whatever they want about the Midwest. Having lived around here when I was a kid and then living back here now, I just love this area, this time of year. And especially where we have a little river behind our house, and there's these tall trees. We walk the dog every day, and I got a bird watching book, and I've got binoculars, and I'm like, it's for, it's just so cool. I just love this area, and it's just great. It's so summery here. So I really love it.
Good.
But I wrote that poem well, I don't know, it's not a poem, but I wrote it a while ago. But yeah,
Yeah. I think I remember hearing it right. I think, well, I don't know if it was right after you wrote it, but
I think it was a lit crawl. You guys came to lit crawl that one
oh,
year.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't come to that. Joe came to that. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Anyway, yeah. I think that's when I first read it, like
Oh,
probably.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's older than I thought it was. Okay. Anyway, thanks for sharing it again. Um, Any more this evening? I I guess I guess not. That's okay. You can if you want to.
I could do another one.
Twist
While
your
we're
arm.
waiting for someone to speak up.
Well, I just had a feeling you might want to have one more.
Okay, I might have played this one before. Does talking stage sound familiar?
Say again?
Does talking stage sound familiar?
Talking stage?
Talking stage.
I don't think so. Not to me, at least.
Okay. I may have done it before though. When I saw him for the first time, had a feeling in this heart of mine. Oh dear, this song's already a cliche, but I think I'll sing it anyway. All for too many, too often. Should have exercised caution. We knew we'd be going round in circles, but full along our lives turned turtle. Gives good excuses to talk to me. Fulfills my vitamin L deficiency. Invites me for espressos to Italy. Can only smile at my doting dilettante. Wanting to go, wanting to stay. When caught between the moon and JFK, all I can do is put our conversations on replay. Since that text, my headspace has been no good. Came into my life uninvited, so rude. Wish he'd be gone, gone from my head. Can't believe it's only just the talking stage. Oh, oh, only just the talking stage. The time spent thinking about him is unhealthy. Things I don't know about myself, he tells me. Sticky, syrupy, saccharine, sweet, sugary. Can't get rid of it, Gugon isn't helping me. He's why I look at my phone and get tired. Starry-eyed every day is the 4th of July. Only says shower, never goodbye. Sometimes I don't know how to reply. Wanting to go, wanting to stay. Now in my head our conversations replay. Caught between the moon and JFK. Since that text, my headspace has been no good. Came into my life uninvited, so rude. Wish he'd be gone, gone from my head. Can't believe it's only just the talking stage. They say opposites attract, but do they last? Worlds apart, knew the answer from the start. Since that text, my headspace has been no good. Came into my life uninvited, so rude. Wish he'd be gone, gone from my head. Can't believe it's only just. Since that text, my headspace has been no good. Came into my life uninvited, so rude. Wish he'd be gone, gone from my head. Can't believe it's only just the talking stage. Talking stage. Thank you.
Woo! I do remember that one.
I'm pretty sure I remember playing this here before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just didn't remember the title, but
That's okay.
I like all the descriptions of the sweetness. The sweetness. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing it. I'm not sure if if everyone has heard it yet, so I don't think Will has. Maybe not Erica either. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Maybe not Sylvia either. She's shaking her head. Maybe Chris. Maybe it was just a small group that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting. It might have just been like one time I think it was just like the three of us.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, it was a small group once and it was a while ago, but anyway. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for sharing, for coming and sharing and supporting one another. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, we're going to be taking a break for July and August, and we'll be back in September. So I hope you'll join us again in September. And I hope you'll have wonderful summers. And thank you all for being here.
I think
Yeah,
that's a
thank
great
you.
way to end the season. There's a really strong entries from everybody tonight. It was a really nice way to end. I thought it was really pleasant. And if you end the recording, I have a little bit of news that I would like to tell some people too.
I shall end the recording unless anyone has anything else they would like to be recorded for all time. I can always edit it out too. Okay.
Oh,
Bye,
yeah.
watching YouTube world.